New York Jets wide receiver Allen Lazard has spoken out on the trade rumors surrounding him recently, and with the New York Jets making their plans and finding a guy for Aaron Glenn, who's effectively replaced Allen Lazard already, finding multiple players to replace Allen Lazard as it is, with other free agents still being named as potentially rumored guys to go to the Jets as well. It feels like Lazard could be out the door, and Allen Lazard has spoken on this, and we are going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. Guys, if you're part of that 69% that's not subscribed to Jets Digest, make sure to subscribe for all the daily Jets content that your heart could ever ask for. But let's jump into the video. There's a lot to talk about as the New York Jets have found themselves in an interesting situation where wide receiver Allen Lazard, he's found himself through really the topic of a lot of trade conversations recently after reworking his contract with the New York Jets a few weeks back. The Jets have now been surrounding the topic of trading Lazard. They allowed him to seek a trade in free agency. That didn't really lead anywhere. And now he's being heavily rumored as an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the Steelers thinning out their wide receiver room yesterday. So there's a lot of discourse surrounding this, Matt, with George Pickens now on the Dallas Cowboys, and Lazard very likely could end up on the Steelers, with that being the final team that's really hunting for the services of Aaron Rodgers to be their quarterback. A lot are expecting that to happen. So it becomes very interesting. And Lazard, he spoke on this, taking to Twitter to release multiple GIFs or GIFs. I still don't really know how it's pronounced. I think GIFs. But it's the, first of all, it's the Wolf of Wall Street thing where Leonardo DiCaprio, had to remember his name, wanted to call him Matt Damon, where Leonardo DiCaprio does do that thing where he's like, I'm not leaving, and everyone goes nuts. Obviously, I left out a word there, and on top of that, he also did this GIF from the movie Good Burger, where essentially he's just cracking jokes surrounding these trade rumors, but also is indicating that he doesn't plan on going anywhere, Matt.
So the New York Jets, we say we're looking for people, not players, and maybe Allen Lazard is looking to be a guy who is part of the solution. You know, recently he's been part of the problem, but we've seen him over this offseason. He took a pay cut to help us with our financial situation, help stay with the team. And if Aaron Glenn wants to invest in people instead of players, Allen Lazard makes a lot of sense in that regard, because Allen Lazard is a veteran guy. He knows highs of playing with MVP Aaron Rodgers, and he knows the lows of playing with New York Jets Aaron Rodgers. So he has been all around the block. No matter what is coming up for the New York Jets wide receiver room this offseason, Allen Lazard has already had experience with whatever is going to happen. So he can help out our younger guys. Garrett Wilson, not a younger guy anymore, but we got Malachi Corley, Arian Smith. We got some other guys coming in, you know, UDFAs. They're going to be running more low risk, high reward receiving options through. Also, we got a new tight end who is also a receiving option. Can't forget about him. So Allen Lazard could be the old veteran in the room, but as much as he does make sense for Aaron Glenn's people over players strategy, someone comes to me with a 6th-round pick. Allen Lazard is leaving. I don't care what his plan is. So this doesn't change a whole lot. It lets us know that Allen Lazard does want to stay with the New York Jets. But at the end of the day, if someone comes with a draft pick to take him off our hands, I will happily send him on his merry way.
I will too, and I imagine that Darren Mougey feels the same way. If there's a team that does show interest in Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard giving a 6th-round pick for Lazard, you do, in fact, make that move. I mean, the Jets have brought in a few different receivers at this point. I mean, just looking at Lazard, his numbers were not really something that you're like, well, we got to keep this guy around. I mean, 530 yards on 37 receptions last season. That's 14.3 yards per reception with 6 touchdowns. The Jets also signed Josh Reynolds, who gets around 15 yards per reception last season. He only had 194 yards on 13 receptions, but barely really played. He also had a touchdown as well. Aaron Glenn knows Reynolds well. On top of that, Darren Mougey's worked with Reynolds before. So Reynolds very easily could take over for Allen Lazard in that role. And on top of that, we do have Arian Smith, a rookie who we know the New York Jets want to get some real burn to this season because they want to build around this younger team. They want a younger team out there. They don't want this team of veterans that went out last season and did not do well. They're completely a different organization. Yeah, they have some of the same pieces, mainly the ones that were successful with the Jets last season. They've mainly stuck around, but the offensive line is young. Your wide receiving core, for the most part, is younger. Your three-headed monster of a running back situation, that running back room, for the most part, they're all, I mean, 2 guys going into their second year and Breece Hall going into year 4, so they're a younger group. The defense has some veterans, but also some nice younger players as well. This is a younger team with a point to prove, and look, if Lazard wants to be a part of that, that's great. He adds another viable NFL receiver, and we know the Jets could use that, but on top of that, we also know the Jets will want to get Josh Reynolds some touches, probably, on top of, you could also go out in free agency if you move Lazard. If you want another name, you could go get a Keenan Allen as well. Get another guy who, very solid wide receiver. Yes, he only wants to play for the Bears or the Chargers, but I imagine he would rather play in the NFL than not. So to get a guy who had 70 receptions last year for 744 yards and 7 touchdowns could certainly be a great idea for the Jets as well. So they do have options here. There's a lot of moves they could make. It's a matter of what they're actually going to do right now. I imagine that the only team that's going to really show interest in Lazard in the offseason would be if the Pittsburgh Steelers did end up signing Aaron Rodgers. There's a world where Rodgers just wants Lazard because he clearly likes him. That very likely could happen. On top of that, I think the only world where we'd see the Jets trade Lazard would probably be in season. If there's a team that desperately needs receiving and if Lazard's having a good year, then I could see it happen. Outside of that, I don't really see anyone lining up to get Allen Lazard, though.
Yeah, he's definitely, I don't want to say damaged goods because he's not injured, but his reputation in the league, it definitely isn't the player that the New York Jets were expecting when they signed him to that big money contract a couple of years ago. When they made that signing, it was before the Aaron Rodgers trade was made. So people were saying this is just to lure Aaron Rodgers in. But Allen Lazard was coming off a very successful season. That was a move for the Jets, not just for Aaron Rodgers. We were expecting much more out of Allen Lazard. He's an ex-wide receiver, a bigger body guy who lines up on the line of scrimmage. And we know that's pretty hard to find in the NFL, especially, and when you do find them, they're never cheap. So that's why we did have to pay Allen Lazard that what turned into a bloated contract. But, I thought that was, just like a lot of Joe Douglas's moves that blew up in his face, I thought that move was one that made sense at the time, even if it didn't work out in the long run. But just like you said, the team that's going to be interested in him, if any, is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, not only because we've heard that rumor, but because of the fact that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to be their starting quarterback. There's no way the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team who never tanks, has not had a losing record ever since Mike Tomlin got there, I believe 18 years ago. Mason Rudolph, yes, they drafted him a couple years ago, and he's finally back and they like him, but he is not the plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers at quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to be their starting quarterback. There was a clip of him going out and throwing passes to DK Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers in that clip was wearing cleats. Retired NFL players, they don't put cleats on to throw the football around. If they want to throw the football around and they were retired, they would just throw the football around in slides and sneakers in whatever they wanted. They wouldn't put on cleats and make a serious workout out of it. So that tells us Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the NFL, and the spot's obvious for him. And hopefully he does go back to the Pittsburgh, or go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I want them to take Allen Lazard off our hands. Not just because I want Allen Lazard gone. I don't want him just gone just for the sake of getting him out of here. I do want more draft capital. The team lacking on draft capital after the last couple win now moves that blew up in our face.
Yeah, I agree, because same reason you said. It's nothing that I'm like, Allen Lazard needs to get off this team or I'm going to lose my mind. It's not that. I mean, yeah, he's a frustrating player at times, but also he's an NFL-level receiver, and the Jets' receiving room is thin right now. But yeah, I'd rather have a 6th-round pick next year than Allen Lazard. Like, is it going to be some great pick? No, but it's something to have. And as we talked about in a recent video, we could also use that in future trades as well. It's just another asset to have on to you instead of having Allen Lazard, a guy who's being coveted by literally one team.
And we're hoping that he's being coveted by one team. It might be 0 teams.
It's either 1 or 0. Guys, would you trade Allen Lazard for a 6th-round pick? What would you trade him for? Let us know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets.